You're drowning. Everything is too much. Your mind is racing. Your chest is tight. You can't think straight. You need relief right now. Not advice. Not a long explanation. Just something that works immediately. Al-Ghazali had one phrase, 7 words, that instantly shifts everything. Not affirmations. Not positive thinking. One honest sentence that your nervous system actually believes. Here's exactly what to say. The phrase is this: I can only do what I can do. That's it. 7 words. And before you dismiss it as too simple, understand what's happening when you're overwhelmed. Your mind is trying to hold everything at once. Every task. Every problem. Every demand. Every possibility of failure. And it's collapsing under the weight. Because your mind wasn't designed to hold everything. It was designed to focus on one thing at a time. But when you're overwhelmed, you lose that focus. Everything feels urgent. Everything feels important. Everything feels like it's your responsibility. And that's the lie that's drowning you. When you say, I can only do what I can do, you're not giving up. You're not being lazy. You're stating a fact. A truth so obvious that your mind can't argue with it. You can only do what you can do. Not what you wish you could do. Not what someone else could do. Not what you think you should be able to do. Just what you can actually do. Right now. With the energy you have. With the time you have. With the capacity you have. And that's enough. Not because it solves everything, but because it's the truth. And truth is what breaks the overwhelm. Here's why this phrase works when affirmations don't. Affirmations try to convince you of something that isn't true yet. I am calm. I am capable. I am in control. But when you're drowning, your nervous system knows you're not calm. You're not in control. So it rejects the affirmation. It feels like a lie. And lying to yourself when you're already overwhelmed just makes it worse. But I can only do what I can do isn't trying to convince you of anything. It's just acknowledging reality. And your nervous system can accept reality, even when reality is hard. Because at least it's true. Al-Ghazali discovered this during his own breakdown. He was at the height of his career. Prestigious position. Endless responsibilities. Everyone wanting something from him. And one day, his body just stopped. He couldn't speak. Couldn't teach. Couldn't perform. Not because he was physically ill, but because he was carrying more than any human can carry. And his system finally said enough. In that moment of complete collapse, he realized something profound. He had been living as if he could do everything, as if he should be able to handle it all, as if his limits were just weakness he needed to overcome. But limits aren't weakness. Limits are reality. And denying reality is what breaks you. So he started saying it. I can only do what I can do. And every time he said it, something released. Not everything, but enough. Enough to take one breath. Enough to focus on one thing. Enough to stop drowning in everything and start dealing with something. This is what the phrase does. It doesn't solve your problems. It shifts your relationship to your problems. It takes you from I have to do everything to I can only do what I can do. And that shift changes everything. Here's how to use it. When you feel overwhelmed, when everything is crashing down, when your mind is spinning with all the things you need to do, stop. Just for 1 second. Stop and say it out loud. I can only do what I can do. Say it slowly. Let each word land. I can only do what I can do. Don't rush past it. Don't say it once and expect magic. Say it until you feel something shift. Until your chest loosens just slightly. Until your mind stops spinning quite so fast. This might take 3 repetitions. It might take 10. But keep saying it until you feel the truth of it settle into your body. And then, here's the crucial part. Ask yourself one question. What is the one thing I can actually do right now? Not the 10 things. Not everything. One thing. What is one thing that's actually within my capacity right now? Maybe it's drinking water. Maybe it's closing your eyes for 30 seconds. Maybe it's sending one email. Maybe it's just sitting down. It doesn't matter how small it is. What matters is that it's real. It's doable. It's within your actual capacity. And when you do that one thing, you prove to yourself that you can still function. You're not completely helpless. You're not completely broken. You can do something. And sometimes, that's all you need. Not to fix everything. Just to do one thing that reminds you that you're still capable. Now here's what most people get wrong about overwhelm. They think overwhelm is about having too much to do. But that's not it. Overwhelm is about believing you have to do all of it right now, perfectly, without help, without breaks, without limits. That's the lie. And I can only do what I can do breaks that lie, because it forces you to acknowledge your limits. And once you acknowledge them, you can work with them instead of against them. You can ask for help. You can prioritize. You can let some things go. You can do less. Not because you're failing, but because you're human. And humans have limits. Al-Ghazali would tell you that most people spend their lives fighting their limits, trying to overcome them, trying to push through them, trying to prove they don't have them. And this fight is exhausting. It's unsustainable. It's what leads to burnout. Because you can push through your limits for a while, days, weeks, maybe even months. But eventually, your body will force you to stop. Through illness, through breakdown, through complete collapse. And by then, the recovery takes so much longer than if you had just honored your limits from the beginning. So the phrase isn't just for emergency moments. It's a practice, a daily reminder, a way of living that acknowledges reality instead of fighting it. Every morning, before the demands start piling up, say it. I can only do what I can do. Every time you start to feel the pressure building, say it. I can only do what I can do. Every time someone asks for more than you can give, say it. To yourself first, and then, if necessary, to them. I can only do what I can do. This isn't selfishness. This isn't weakness. This is honesty. And honesty is the foundation of sustainable living. Here's another layer to this phrase. It releases you from comparison. Because when you're overwhelmed, part of what's crushing you is the comparison. Other people seem to handle more. Other people seem to manage better. Other people seem to have it together while you're falling apart. But you can only do what you can do. Not what they can do. Not what they seem to be able to do. Just what you can actually do. And that's enough. Not because it's impressive. Not because it's exceptional. But because it's yours. It's real. It's honest. Al-Ghazali also taught that this phrase helps you identify what's actually yours to carry. Because when you're overwhelmed, you're usually carrying things that aren't yours. Other people's expectations. Other people's emergencies. Other people's emotional states. Things you think you should be able to handle, but actually can't. Things you took on because you felt obligated, but don't have the capacity for. And all of this accumulates until you're carrying 10 times your actual weight. The phrase helps you see this clearly. I can only do what I can do. So what is actually mine? What is actually my responsibility? What is actually within my power? And what am I carrying that needs to be put down? This is where the phrase becomes a tool for boundary setting. Not aggressive boundaries. Not selfish boundaries. Just honest boundaries. When someone asks you to do something and you're already at capacity, you can say, I can only do what I can do. And right now, I can't do that. Not because I don't care, but because I'm at my limit. This is so much more powerful than making excuses or over-explaining or feeling guilty. It's just stating a fact. And facts don't need justification. You can only do what you can do. That's not negotiable. That's not something you need to apologize for. That's just reality. And here's what happens over time when you practice this phrase. You start to develop a more realistic relationship with your capacity. You stop overcommitting. You stop saying yes to things you don't have bandwidth for. You stop believing you should be able to do everything. You start to see your limits not as failures, but as information. This is what I can actually handle. This is where my boundary is. This is what's sustainable. And you start to build your life around that reality instead of around some fantasy of infinite capacity. But let's talk about the hardest part, the guilt. Because when you start saying, I can only do what I can do, and you start honoring your limits, you're going to feel guilty. People will be disappointed. Some will be angry. Some will tell you that you're not trying hard enough, that you're being selfish, that you're letting them down. And part of you will believe them, because you've been taught that your worth is based on how much you can do, how much you can give, how much you can sacrifice. But Al-Ghazali would tell you that this teaching is what's killing you. Your worth is not based on your output. Your worth is inherent. You are valuable simply because you exist. And protecting your capacity isn't selfish. It's necessary. It's how you survive. It's how you stay sustainable. It's how you avoid the complete breakdown that comes from chronic overwhelm. So when the guilt comes, and it will say the phrase again, I can only do what I can do. And add this, and what I can do is enough. Not enough to please everyone. Not enough to meet every expectation. But enough to be true. Enough to be sustainable. Enough to keep you alive and functional and present. And that's what matters. Not impressive productivity. Not superhuman capacity. Just honest, sustainable human effort. One more thing about this phrase. It works in the moment of crisis. But it also works as a preventative. Because if you start saying it regularly, you'll start recognizing overwhelm earlier. Before it becomes drowning. Before it becomes breakdown. You'll notice when you're taking on too much. When you're believing you should be able to do more than you can. When you're heading toward collapse. And you can course correct. You can slow down. You can say no. You can ask for help. You can honor your limits before your body forces you to. This is wisdom. This is maturity. This is how you live a long, sustainable life instead of burning bright and crashing hard. So here's what to do right now. If you're overwhelmed, say it. Out loud. I can only do what I can do. Say it until something loosens. And then ask yourself, what is one thing I can actually do right now? And do that thing. Just that one thing. And if you're not currently overwhelmed, save this phrase. Screenshot it. Write it down. Put it somewhere you'll see it. Because there will be a moment. Maybe today. Maybe tomorrow. When everything becomes too much. And in that moment, you'll need this. You'll need these 7 words. I can only do what I can do. They won't fix everything, but they'll help you breathe. And sometimes, that's all you need. One breath. One moment of truth. One acknowledgement of reality. And from there, you can take the next step. Not all the steps. Just the next one. Because you can only do what you can do. And right now, that's enough.